Welcome to Excel Boats on the X Podcast, powered by Mud Buddy Motors.
I love the smell of napalm in the morning.
The only podcast to bring you insights on the world of hunting, fishing, and boating. With your host, J. Paul Jackson.
You don't say much, do you?
Now, load up and sight in. This is On the X.
Welcome to the Excel Boats on the X Podcast, powered by Mud Buddy Motors. J. Paul Jackson here, along with Dave Reynolds, coming to us from Salt Lake City, Utah, and a very special guest we've got with us today, Dave, and I think a buddy of yours who actually does a job that you did something similar to before coming to us. We've got Jim, and if I butcher your last name, I apologize, Saubier?
Saubier.
From Saubier. Yep. Oh, I saw a beer once.
Yes, exactly.
Dave's Jim is the Waterfowl product manager for SitkaGear. I'm wearing them right now, so we're really, really excited to have you with us today, Jim.
Happy to be here.
Yeah, great to have you. So, Jim, you started with a Gore originally, right? You worked with Gore for quite some time.
Correct. Yeah. So 23 years actually. So it's been
fantastic.
Quite a ride, and I've been with Sitka now just about 5 years.
Okay. And so quite a change from Maryland to Montana. By the way, Maryland, where their Gore office is.
Correct.
They have the worst street name I have ever run across. Blue Ball Road.
That's correct. Yes.
You're kidding.
No.
Yep, that's correct.
Yeah. So you worked with Brad. Brad's been. I know Brad. Of course, we go back and good friends with Brad. But Brad was Gore probably about the same time frame as you, right?
Yep. Very similar. Yes. Yep.
Okay.
Not to brag, but I do have Brad beat by just a little bit.
Okay.
He'll never get
All right.
Yeah. So yeah, we're both.
So you both went to Sitka then about the same time. So, what involved that transition? I know Gore purchased Sitka, and then
correct.
Some of the Gore staff went over to Montana to work at the Sitka office then.
Yeah. So Brad, actually, he was one of the first to go out, and he was involved with Sitka before the acquisition even. And so, yeah, he's done several roles with the company and continues to, work with Sitka now. I want to say he's got to have 7 years.
Okay.
Maybe even a little more than that, but he's also a long-term Gore associate. He moved out early on, and I'm a long-term waterfowl hunting enthusiast, and really wanted to participate and help with the Sitka brand as we got into the waterfowl category.
Okay, great. Because Sitka originated, big game primarily, right? Waterfowl is a fairly new category for Sitka, relatively. Right,
yeah.
Right.
Yeah, actually, I remember at SHOT Show when we launched the waterfowl category.
I do too. I was there, and we were looking at the Optifade pattern at the time. Actually, a couple of years before that, I was at SHOT Show when Optifade was in development at the time.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
In a short time, Sitka has made some groundwork and kicked some butt and taken some names in the waterfowl industry. Certainly,
I like to think that we're doing the right things, and
you're the man behind that, obviously.
Well, yeah, there's a lot of help, the technologies, and really thankful to have the expertise that Gore offers in terms of capabilities. Laminates, textiles, and just the things that make it possible to make the product that Sitka does.
Well, what's interesting is Sitka is one of the first, a unique marketing angle, much like, ski companies, North Face, Arc'teryx, and bike companies, and promoting the technology, the high-tech materials, and, for active hunters. All your marketing depicts active hunter. I mean, these guys, hunting mountain goats up high in the mountains and hardcore waterfowl hunters. So, your approach, I think, has been similar to, and unique for the hunting industry in marketing to the active, hardcore set of hunters, and really putting emphasis on the materials and more as gear than or equipment as than clothing. So it's unique marketing angle which has been successful.
The way that I think about it, I mean, I look at my Sitka clothing as equipment. I mean, it is equipment that you wear. There's no better way to put it, I don't think.
No, and that's exactly what I was getting ready to say. You think about all of the things that we have in our garage and all the investments that we make for our hunting pursuit, and the apparel is really the single most important thing that keeps you in the field comfortable longer and changes the experience that you're able to have in the field. And I think and I remember growing up and some of the things that we had to wear and how uncomfortable we were. And we'd spend, thousands of dollars on our shotgun and our dogs and our boats and our trucks and all that for naught if you're not able to stay out and enjoy yourself while out there.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Me and my son were just commenting. The last few hunts we've been on have been pretty cold mornings, and it's like, man, thank goodness for this Sitka. We're comfortable and warm. In fact, having to take off layers, and if it wasn't for that high tech materials and clothing and well thought out design, I mean, it's really makes a hunt more enjoyable, more productive, and especially important for kids because. When kids are cold and uncomfortable, guess what? Your hunt is over. Yeah.
Yeah. No doubt about it. Same thing goes if you're hunting with your wife as well. She gets cold, you're done. Okay. So Melanie loves her SitkaGear.
You're only as comfortable as the weakest link in the blind. who's going to
you got it.
Be the one to call it. So I think that. And you talked about layering, and I think that's been a big thing for people to understand. And we talk about managing moisture, we talk about adding layers, and we talk about, how system approach to apparel. And it really is, it's a very user specific thing, and that's why there's options. But at the end of the day, how we manage moisture and heat really matters.
And you just brought up a great point. Last year, some of the guys that I hunt with, they saw me out in my SitkaGear and wound up going out and buying a bunch of it because, I'm always warm, pull layers off and get comfortable. It's so lightweight. It's truly waterproof. But, so one of the first mornings out, we're there in the boot room and one of the guys is getting dressed and he walks in wearing a white 100% cotton t-shirt. And then he starts to pull, like a mid-weight half zip like I'm wearing now over it. And I'm like, whoa, stop. You are totally defeating the purpose.
Yes.
You're going to get hot. You're going to sweat. That cotton t-shirt's going to soak up that moisture. Then you're going to cool off and you're going to freeze because, it's not going to work. The great thing about it, the layer that I'm wearing now, this midweight, half zip, and put a gradient jacket over. You won't need if it's really cold, put the Hudson over that, and you've got those layers. But the cool thing is, no matter how active I get, I'm going to stay warm even after I start to cool off because it's not going to soak up the perspiration. It's just going to let that water vapor pass through all the way out. And to me, that is just so game changing, because after you work so hard, throwing the decoys out, getting everything set up, you work up a sweat, you sit down, in the old days, they cool off and you freeze because you're soaking wet with that damn cotton underwear against your skin.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah, well, everybody knows cotton kills, right?
I wish I could say that everyone knew that. I think I still run into it routinely, and I'll be at a trade show or consumer show or, an event and talking to consumers, and they'll share an experience where you're like, I have this jacket and I'm freezing cold. And I'm like, well, what are you wearing under it? And so many times I'll hear, about a sweatshirt. They're wearing the such and such sweatshirt. And I'm like, well, that's cotton. I think that's probably, and then, base layer, you mentioned somebody wearing a t-shirt, and we all like to wear a t-shirt, but if you're not managing moisture at the skin contact level, you're starting out all wrong. And, one of the fundamental things that we have to try and convince people is you have to start out with a good base layer. And that base layer is fundamental to the system, and it's going to manage your moisture and be a part of that system so that you're not getting cold and wet and uncomfortable. So that's very important.
Last year I went on a deer hunt, and I'm wearing my waterfowl gear out deer hunting with a buddy of mine, and we're out there walking around. He's like, man, you are so comfortable. What are you wearing? And it was like 4 degrees Fahrenheit this morning, which is super cold for West Tennessee. And I was wearing a long sleeve merino wool base layer, t-shirt. And over that, I think I had a heavyweight half zip. And then over that, I had my gradient hoodie. And that's it. 3 pieces of clothing. Yeah. That's all I was wearing. Wasn't even wearing anything with wind stopper, or Gore-Tex to it. Sure. But we were moving around fairly active. And man, I was toasty. Yep. And he's wearing some big, heavy stuff and still getting hot, sweaty, and then cold. And
snowmobile suit. Yeah.
Yeah. What's your favorite thing that you've got, Dave?
I was going to ask that question too, Jim. My favorite thing, all the items are great, but, I think the most versatile is the Gore-Tex wader jacket. And the reason being is I could wear that early season when it's 75 degrees and layer under it and wear it when it's, 15 degrees. You have those zip pits or pit zips. You could vent, it has, a lot of pockets and storage. And in particular, a lot of hunting I've been doing is a lot of hike in, and it's perfect for that. You have the Gore-Tex, have a lightweight, versatility, early season or late season. However, I have to admit, just lately, I've been wearing the Hudson, I haven't really been anyone who's really worn an insulated coat. I've always worn shells and layer underneath, even for skiing. But I tell you, this Hudson is nice because you don't have to wear as much under. You can just wear just layer, 1 or 2 layers underneath. So, you do have the freedom to shoulder your gun well, probably even more so than when you have to have several layers. But, my son's favorite, I'll tell you what my son's favorite is the collar's glove. He loves that collar's glove, man. He could not hunt without it. And I have one too, and it is the bomb, man. It is weird. You tell people about $100 glove, and it's like, what, really? But this thing is the bomb, man. You put a hand warmer in that collar's glove, and that gets so toasty. It's nice and fleece. I never wear a glove on my right hand, my shooting hand or calling hand. And that calling glove that's the answer, man. It is awesome.
That, it's interesting because we could have the same conversation with 10 different, people that all wear SitkaGear, and each person kind of builds out their system a little differently. And, it's being able, and when somebody asks me, well, what do I need to have? And I ask a series of questions, and people run hot, people run cold, people sweat, just depending on the individual preference. And, it's kind of nice to be able to build out that system. I'm most of the time when I'm in the field, I'm wearing something new, something that's I'm developing. So, I'll wear certain components.
I'll be happy to help with that, by the way.
It's a good thing to do. But so I'll be wearing different parts of the system, but inevitably something I'm wearing is in development. And
Sure.
so if I had to go out and decide, what is the perfect system for me, I do agree the Delta wading jacket as a shell gives me the greatest versatility for different ranges and different capabilities. It's a great layering piece that I can build a system for almost any circumstance with. And so I think it's great. The Hudson, another, has a light insulation, has the new stretch Gore-Tex technology, and gives you mobility and things that is awesome for waterfowlers, and especially as you're in different applications, whether you're in a layout blind or anytime you're having to swing and have that mobility. Really, that stretch is
Yeah, I have an older one. I don't have the stretch, but that is so it's around the shoulders basically, right? And arms allows you to stretch and doesn't bind. Mm-hmm. Right, got it.
Yeah.
So Jim, do you have a favorite product in your line?
I would say there's one piece that probably ends up in every system for me, and that's my Dakota Vest. I end up using it, in just a variety of ways, but almost all the time I'll have a Dakota Vest on. Insulation piece, I think the Fahrenheit jacket, which is reasonably new, has been out for a couple of years. Super packable, wind stopper, just fantastic insulation piece. And I will say there's one of those in my pack at all times. The waders, of course, is something that's near and dear to my heart that I've been working on for a long time. So I'm, super proud of those and continue to work on that program.
Great. Yeah, that's a huge success story, the waders.
Yeah, I never dreamed that, you could have a wader that would be so durable, so functional, and it doesn't matter the price. I mean, you hear guys,
Sure.
Oh, I'm not going to spend that for a wader. You ever try a pair of them on, you're screwed and they truly are repairable.
Mm-hmm.
That's the thing that you've come out with this system that, hey, you're out going through the brambles, you have a thorn poke through, you can actually find the spot and fix it, which is something that in the past you haven't been able to do. And, it fits with the whole system.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, I have two $350 waders I've had for 2 seasons, and I get wet. And you can't locate the leaks. I've said this before, but it's not like can't take them in a dark room with a flashlight and figure out where the leak is and patch it and be good. It's just not feasible anymore.
Yeah, and I feel extremely fortunate that we have the capabilities from Gore, and then manufacturing capability in the U.S. that's able to do the service and warranty. All of the components and things that we created, we started with a blank sheet of paper, and we tried to identify all the pain points and create a product that would change the way people looked at waders. And I remember growing up and putting on neoprene waders, and it was always punishment to wear them, to put them on, to take them off, to dry them, to deal with leaks. And it just was a serious pain point. And to change the way people look at waders is what we set out to do. And I feel really excited that that's, the product that we have created has met all of those needs that we identified up front.
Right. Now, were you involved, Browning had a Gore-Tex waders years ago. Were you involved with that project at all, Jim?
No, I was not. I know Brad Yeomans had some involvement earlier.
Right.
So, but, no, I was not involved in even in the fabric side of things prior to coming to Sitka. So.
Well, I'll tell you, the Gore products are just amazing. And hey, I've been wanting to ask this for a while. Is it true that Gore is the only company that has products on the Earth, Moon, and Mars?
I know that we have a strong space program. I don't know that I can qualify to the level of where we have product, but
Do Martians wear Gore-Tex? Or are they wearing windstoppers?
No, in the one of the
I know what you meant,
rovers,
man. Yeah.
some
Yeah.
Gore product was.
could be.
Yeah.
I've been told. I don't know if it's true. Dang, I was help me with that. Yeah.
I would guess that there's probably truth in that. I know that we have cables and electronic products in a lot of aircraft, and not sure about the space program, as well as astronaut suits that we created way back when. I'm not sure if that's still a current product or not.
I imagine hunting is a very small segment for Gore overall. What is their largest? Is it medical? What is one of their largest segments?
We have a very diverse portfolio, from electronic products to filtration to fabrics division, and the medical divisions, saving lives and changing the way people are, modern medicine. I think I'm super thankful. Here I am 2 weeks out of major back surgery, sitting here in front of you today, feeling really good. So modern medicine is amazing.
Yes, it is. Good. You'll be able to go out hunting soon then, Jim?
Gosh, we'll see. I have a 28
Yeah,
gauge.
we'll see.
I'll have a 28 gauge that I'll need to utilize.
Oh, perfect.
For the next,
perfect.
the
Yeah,
next
no
hunting.
recoil. Yeah.
Very little recoil. Yes. It's
Good.
a tremendous gun. It's funny. I started shooting that 28 gauge last year, and I just couldn't believe how effective. Just a terrific gun. And then I, on ducks, and I used some back ridge ammo that had built some shells for me, and their range for ducks was very impressive.
Yeah, it's my son hunts with a 20 gauge, and yeah, he's made some impressive shots with a little 20 gauge with number 4 and a skeet tube, and
Yep.
That, let me ask you, Jim, a big difference in hunting between Maryland and Montana.
Oh,
I imagine.
Yes, very much so. And I
Better in Montana,
Ooh,
or just different?
I
I'm
would
sure
say
you have
different.
good Chesapeake Bay. That's iconic waterfowl area.
It is. It's the Atlantic Flyway is really a tough place to hunt, and if you measure success in numbers of birds harvested, you're going to be sorely disappointed on the Atlantic Flyway these days. But I grew up, hunting agricultural fields, mostly cornfields and bean fields for geese, and we had a 5-year moratorium where we couldn't shoot any.
Wow. Eastern
Shore hunting?
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I've hunted both the Eastern Shore and Montana. I'll take Montana. And I like them both. Nothing against the Eastern Shore, but I've had a couple of unbelievable hunts right off the Little Bighorn River.
Oh, yeah.
And just, man.
Far less hunting pressure in Montana, I'm sure, for waterfowl. I mean, it's primarily a big game state, and I'm sure very few hardcore. Well, I'm sure there's hardcore waterfowlers, but compared to Mississippi or Atlantic Flyway, they're few and far between.
I would say there's certainly less people doing it. I think it's remarkable in all the places that I've had the opportunity to hunt. It's remarkable how good the waterfowl hunting is here in Montana. And I'm reluctant to say that because it is a sleeper state, I believe. But, to be able to shoot 7 mallards and, 5 honkers and routinely, putting up big numbers, but it's different. So it just depends on I guess where you are. I try and find enjoyment and I guess doing this for so long, to me, a successful hunt's measured more by the people you spend it with. And I think that's what waterfowl hunting is all about for me, than number of ducks or geese. Not that I don't enjoy shooting ducks and geese, but I think some of the most memorable hunts have resulted in or from either overcoming, severe condition or, just getting trucks stuck in fields or whatever it might be, just the things you look back and you're like, wow, we may have shot a handful of ducks or geese, but it was something that some time spent with people and overcoming some kind of issue.
Yeah, those days definitely stand out.
Yeah.
For better or for worse, sometimes.
No kidding. And I agree. A lot of it's about the experience. But I can tell you, and I can speak for Dave too. Both of us, we both really like to kill shit. So it's
Absolutely. Yes.
It's
definitely the memorable days with company and good hunts are, definitely. They're more memorable than the days you sit out there all day long, regardless of the company, and don't see anything. But you can still have a good time.
Absolutely. Yeah. No, and Canada, yeah, my goodness, I've been hunting Canada now for the last, I guess, 4 years, and that's a pretty special place too. So lots of
I'm sure that could spoil you. I've never hunted Canada. So you go there early season, then obviously before the Montana and season opens up.
Yeah, so I've been in there. I've been there September. The last 2 years, I've been in October, which mid-October this year was tough. So this year was a little different, and we're in Saskatchewan, and it got cold early up there, and I think the snows had pushed out, and it was really quite challenging, and I think the snow goose hunting across the North America this year is going to be quite challenging based on the harvest or the reproduction rate for that whole region. So
we're in Saskatchewan.
So we've been hunting near Fishing Lake, so north of Regina and south.
Can you say that word without smiling?
I know. Yeah, yeah, that's an interesting place for sure. So drive right through Regina and pick up whoever at the airport and keep going. So it's
so you drive right from Montana, I'm sure. I mean,
so it's about 12
hour
hours.
drive.
Yep, 12 hours from Bozeman. Yeah, depending on the border crossing debacle.
Yeah. Where do you cross at?
Plentywood. So it's Port Raymond, I think, but it's Plentywood, Montana's the nearest town. So it's been great. I think they're so used to seeing people, and as long as you're prepared and answer your questions and be respectful, I haven't had any issues of, it's never really had much of a concern. But I'm up front. I know how much ammunition I'm allowed to take. I know how much alcohol I can have in my vehicle. I know, anything that they can ask, I can answer, very readily and tell them exactly where it's at if they want to inspect it.
So you've got one of those vehicles that runs on alcohol.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, I
I hear you, brother. No, I like hunting up there too. I've hunted I've hunted near Regina and up around the Battlefords and near St. Walburg and over toward Lloydminster, which is right on the Alberta-Saskatchewan border. And people think it's just so easy up there, but it can be very challenging.
Absolutely. We're, I've been up there on a guided hunt. I went up there on a rider hunt at Habitat Flats with a Benelli rider hunt. But all the other times I've been up, it's been DIY, and we're doing all our scouting and getting permissions and everything. And it's a really cool thing to be able to do that and have the interaction with the landowners and just experience the culture of Canada. So I really enjoy it, all aspects of it. And you make or break your own success, similar as you would, whether you're doing it here or there. And it's been really good.
Cool. So where all do you hunt in the lower 48?
It really depends on what product I'm working on and what needs I might have. Or if there's an event I need to be a part of. But gosh, I've hunted, I hunted a couple of years pretty heavily in the timber region when we were doing our timber pattern development. So I spent a lot of time in Arkansas and Missouri and Kansas.
That's a tough project, tough product development.
Yeah, it's
well, somebody's got to do it,
Yeah, the timber hunting flooded timbers is super cool. I would like to say that I've been able to experience just that clown's mouth where they're just dumping in on top of you, but I have not. It was quite challenging when I was there. So it's hit or miss, it's just like anything else. If you're not there at the right time, it's not going to be nearly as exciting. So I was not able to experience some of the flooded timber hunts that people talk about.
No, I haven't either. I've hunted some flooded timber, but I've never been on one of those just knock them out hunts where they're just fighting through the treetops. Right.
No,
yeah, I've never
nothing like that.
Never have experienced that yet, but it is a unique experience, especially for us Westerners, where we're not used to even seeing many trees where we hunt. And that's a fun. Hey, J. Paul, isn't your opener this weekend?
Yeah, I actually, it is. It's this weekend. I'll be down in Marvel. By the way, Jim, you have an open invitation to come to Arkansas and hunt with me. If you come in January, Dave will be around early January, or usually is. Maybe we could all go out.
Yeah, about January. Just booked my flights around the 12th, 13th.
There you go.
I'll have to consider that. Hopefully that doesn't fall on top of SHOT Show.
I think SHOT Show is a little later. I think I got a reminder for SHOT Show. I think that's maybe the week after, so a little close. But yeah, I remember the SHOT Show days, a week in Vegas. That Browning booth was 3 days to set up, 2 days to take down. Then you have a 4-day show. Yeah, that was good times. The SHOT Show. Hey, J. Paul, you're probably one of the best openers in many, many years lining up. You have tons of water, snow, and even colder and more snow to the north. You guys must be covered up with birds right now.
It's a double-edged sword, though. We've got so much water, Dave, that, the birds are dispersed. I mean, we've got a lot of gadwall in the area. All the, smaller ducks that are more photo migrators and climate driven. There are a lot of them here, but they're spread out. And surprisingly, we're still not seeing numbers of mallards like I would have expected. I talked to a good friend of mine who guides, has a place called Goose Farms near Cherry Valley, Arkansas. It's one of the premier places that I've hunted over the last several years. And usually he is absolutely wrapped up with ducks. And I talked to him earlier today. His name's West Bond. And I'm like, you guys wrapped up. He said, we've got ducks, but the problem is we got water everywhere. We're trying to get some water off because they're so spread out. So yes, it's going to be a good opener. I'm really excited about it. I've got reports there are a lot of snows and specklebelly. Of course, I don't give a dang about the snows, but there are a lot of specklebelly geese already in central and southern Arkansas, down close to where you and I hunt. So I expect that we're going to work on the specs pretty hard this weekend and all next week.
Yeah, with all that water after the opener, those ducks are going to even disperse even more. Yeah, with the hunting pressure. Yeah, so it'll be challenging. Well, I wish we had that problem out west about too much water.
Yeah, I'll tell you, I'm excited for the Tennessee opener because the Mississippi River is so high right now. I'm probably going to spend the Tennessee opening weekend usually I'm in Stuttgart and I may drive down for Saturday, but I'm going to spend it on the big river because there are a lot of mallards from the reports I'm getting, in the willows on the big river because it's colder. So, and there's just something magic about hunting on that Mississippi River to me.
Yeah, I bet.
Yeah. Now, so what will be your approach to hunting the big river there? Are you in the boat with a boat blind up against edge, or how does that look?
Well, actually, I'll take my F4 and I've got like a curtain. It's a homemade blind. I really need to get with Glade at Backwater Performance and get a true blind for my boat. Surprisingly enough, I work for Excel and I don't have one, but
they have a curtain. What do you have? Just a shower curtain? You know.
Yes, I stole it out of my daughter's bathroom. It's got little cues on
yeah, those
it.
pink polka dots probably don't help you at all, J. Paul. Yeah, on that.
No, it's basically I took a piece of dead gum conduit and had a lady sew a piece of Cordura that I could slide on it just like you're sliding it, on a curtain rod. And we just got to hang that up in front of us, pull over into the willows, sit in the boat, and fire up the heater if it's really cold. And, those ducks, the thing about the river is so cool. You get out there in the morning, and I usually come in right at daylight. We're very rarely set up at legal shooting time just for the, safety factor of it. I mean, this time of year, you've still got a lot of barge traffic on that Mississippi River. And, if you've got a barge that's fully laden, heading downstream, and I learned a long time ago on the river, we put in below wherever we're going to be hunting, and we run upstream. So if you do have a problem, you can at least float back down to your truck.
Yeah, good plan, right?
I've been bitten once before on that. So, but still, you got a barge kicking up 5, 6, 7 foot rollers.
Wow.
In the dark, and you never know. Right now, the river's so high, there's all kinds of crap. Hell, I saw probably a 100-foot tall tree in the river a couple of days ago floating down it. It's amazing, what there is out there in that river. So, but yeah, we go out there, you right on the river with the barges, and you just at certain river levels, we've got an idea where we think the ducks are going to be. And
yeah.
And those birds, they're migrators usually. They're stupid.
Yeah. Are you using multiple dogs to try? I mean, some of that big river hunting, depending on how fast it's flowing, and trying to have a dog that's able to keep up.
Well, if I'm in a place with a lot of current, Jim, I don't even use a dog. It's just too dangerous.
You just cut loose and go and chase.
We just cut loose and go. But now, most of the time we're in fairly slack water when the river's this high. So we just use, one dog and a guy. A lot of times we'll take a little canoe like Piro, kayak.
Nice. Chase boat.
Yeah. One guy jumps in the kayak, paddles like hell after cripples while the dog's going rounding up all the dead ones.
Yeah.
Perfect. Now, are you hunting the actual river, or are you hunting oxbows off the river? Are you right in the river channel?
No, we're very not. Occasionally we will be in the river channel and current. Mm-hmm. But most of the time we're, in the willows in slack water.
That'd be fun.
It does sound exciting.
Go ahead, Jim.
Just the whole phenomena of the rivers blowing out of their banks and hunting, in that kind of scenario. And it's one of those things that I have not experienced. So one of these days.
No, I haven't either. And my family, my great grandpa used to hunt the Illinois River. Great grandpa was actually a market hunter on the Illinois River up around Grafton.
Wow.
So I've got to do it sometime.
Yeah.
Well, listen, you're both welcome to come. I mean, right now the river's up. It's going to be up for a little while. Y'all are welcome to come anytime. I'm dead serious about that too, Jim. I'd love to.
Absolutely. Well, hopefully I get healed up here soon and maybe get down there for January. That would be a lot of fun.
Yeah, and the thing is, one of my favorite products is the gradient jacket and the gradient pants.
Yeah.
By the way, who came up with that?
The gradient pant was coming out right when I started, and just a fantastic textile, and it really, evolved into more products as a result. So now the gradient tops, utilizing that same textile, and it's it manages moisture, breathes extremely well. It's just a great layering piece, and it's so versatile that
it's so comfortable.
Absolutely. I mean, stretch.
It is like wearing sweat.
Absolutely. Yeah. It performs remarkably well in so many different scenarios. So yeah. I really
Yeah, all the Sitka gear is comfortable. Man, my boy, we hunt in the morning. He wears it all day long. I mean, he's just comfortable. Last year at school, it was a day where they just wear anything that's comfortable and casual. He wore Sitka clothes, you know.
I love it.
These are my most comfortable clothes. And there's one other kid, not many hunters in grade school. There's a couple kids oh man, you have Sitka stuff? Oh man. You're lucky.
Special.
But he wore his most comfortable clothes to school, and that was a Sitka.
Yeah.
Jack's the man.
Yep.
Let me tell you, that gradient stuff, I love it because you can move around so well in the boat and stuff with it. And, you know, it's a great base layer under your waders and doesn't bind or anything. You know, it's like you're wearing comfy pajamas or something.
Yeah. No, absolutely. I love the gradients. I love the gradient styles in there. They've been such a fantastic layering piece. And I hear that time and again, how many people like it. And then we offer it in that mallard green color and in a solid colorway. So people are, you know, wearing them every day.
Yeah. I just got a Kelvin jacket. Man, you talk about something cool and a solid cover. You can wear it every day, but you know, the Delta shell.
Yep.
Tell you, the other day it was looking like rain and it was cold, and I don't wear camo as a fashion statement. Yeah. So I'm really glad you're offering the gradient in the green as well.
Yeah.
You know, but that Kelvin works great as an insulation layer underneath that Delta jacket.
Yep. So, you know, it's the Fahrenheit. So there's two types of insulation layers. You know, the gradient is a non-compressible insulation. So, you know, when you're layering, it doesn't compress. And then a Kelvin or a Fahrenheit for the waterfowlers is a lofted insulation. And, you know, it acts differently, but certainly provides that loft, and whether it's down or a Prima Loft synthetic insulation, just different insulation values for different applications. And the packability is also something to consider, you know, with the lofted versus non-compressible. But
you just introduced the Fahrenheit vest, right? So you have the Dakota Vest and Fahrenheit vest.
Yeah, we have Fahrenheit jacket and Fahrenheit vest for, you know, that are lofted insulation styles with wind stopper. Great layering pieces. And you know, it's funny, I never used to be a vest guy, but I certainly have learned to enjoy a vest in so many different applications now.
Yeah. They're a lot of times really, really handy and have that freedom of movement with your arms and stuff too. Yep. But you know, the Hudson, it's like the best of both worlds because the insulation on it's set up like a vest, you know, but you got the sleeves there for protection. And yeah, that's the thing that I like about my Hudson. It's like wearing a vest with waterproof sleeves.
Yeah.
Right.
So yeah, it's lots of different options. And I think that's what people seem to really enjoy. They're building out their own system, and it's very specialized to them and how they hunt and where they hunt. And, you know, having those options really seems to resonate with people, and the technical approach to apparel for hunting has been well received in the hunting community.
Well, your products are great. I mean, Dave and I are both huge fans. We love it. We love the partnership that we have with Gore, with Optifade. That has been unbelievable for us and hopefully for you guys too. Don't you think, Dave?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, you know, your products are fantastic, and that in combination, I think, with the most effective camo pattern in the industry. And, you know, we sell so many boats in Optifade. I mean, even fishing boats. I mean, we'll sell $40,000, $50,000 retail fishing boats, Optifade camo. Man, it's unbelievable. You know, I think Optifade is it's a fashion statement as well. It's just a cool camo pattern. Yeah, even the fishermen love it, and guys who fish and hunt out of their boats. But yeah, I mean, it looks killer on our F4, and you know, I attribute that to the success of the F4 too. You know, our partnership with Gore, Sitka, and Optifade.
It's fantastic to hear.
Good partnership.
Yeah.
me tell you this, I take a great deal of pride when I tell anybody, hey, we are the only aluminum boat manufacturer out there licensed to offer a hunting boat in optifade marsh and optifade timber. And I mean that. I mean, that's not being patronizing, to you guys. It's just a fact. We're really, really proud of that. And, the products are great. It's so wonderful. I feel like we've got by far the best duck boat in the industry, and you guys have the best clothing that is actually equipment and gear in the industry. So it makes a great partnership that we take a great deal of pride in.
That's fantastic. It's good to hear, and I certainly appreciate it as well.
And look, we've kept you on here for a while today, Jim, but I would like to have you back again.
Absolutely. I enjoyed the conversation. It's very good.
Yeah. One day, before you go, we got one parting question for you. So if we're hunting together, you come down to Marvel and hunt with me and Dave in January, and one of us sneaks over to your blind bag to steal a snack out of it. What are we going to find?
It's going to be a Pop-Tart. I'm a Pop-Tart.
All right.
I love
My
Pop-Tart.
gosh, that must be a Sitka thing, because Jeff Watt's favorite item.
Yeah.
Pop-Tart.
Yeah.
My gosh, so what flavor?
I like brown sugar and cinnamon.
Oh my gosh, same as Jeff.
That's
same
my
as Jeff.
go-to.
Same as mine. Actually, he has a Pop-Tart case. And it's Optifade camo. He sent me a photo of it a couple of weeks ago. You should market that. I mean, you're the Waterfowl product manager. Stick a Pop-Tart case.
I love it. It's funny. I make a joke, in the waiters and doing a presentation, and I'll often refer to pockets and the design features and how I specifically size the pocket to fit a Pop-Tart.
A Pop-Tart, got it. That is awesome.
There is some truth to that, but not entirely.
Yeah, well, maybe the next jacket will have a Pop-Tart pocket. With a built-in toaster, you can push a button and it toasts it and pops it right out of your pocket.
Yeah.
That would be high tech.
Yeah.
Hey, better size for a Pop-Tart than a hip flask.
Well, that's for after the hunt. I am absolutely a connoisseur of bourbon as well.
All right.
Yeah. So, that would be great. I would love to join you guys, and hopefully we'll be able to spend some time in the field. Always time best spent with people, and where you really get to know people is when you spend some time in a blind.
Cool.
Oh yeah, absolutely. That'd be fun. I look forward to that.
Yeah, we look forward to having you, man. Thank you so much for your time today. Really enjoyed it. Great products, great people. SitkaGear, WL Gore. Really, really proud of our association with you guys.
Fantastic. Well, thank you so much for having me, and I'll look forward to joining you again sometime.
Yeah, thank you, Jim. Good luck with your recovery. Hope you get out in the field soon and have a nice holiday next week. Can't believe Thanksgiving's next week already. My gosh.
So fast.
Yeah.
Hey, that just means duck season is here in the South, baby.
It is. Yeah, you got to be stoked.
Oh, man, I am so excited. You can't believe it. It's looking like it's going to be a really, really good season. Like you said, we've got birds, we've got water, maybe a little too much water, but hey, I'd rather have too much than be stuck like you poor guys out there in the West with none. I do.
Yeah, there you go.
I totally feel your pain. Well, Dave, Jim, man, great having both of you guys. Of course, Dave, you're with me all the time. Next week, I think we've got Ambry lining some stuff up for us, so no telling who we're going to have pop up next. But for all you guys out there, we truly hope that you enjoyed listening to this edition of the Excel Boats on the X podcast, powered by Mud Buddy Motors.